This podcast episode is for the girls who want to learn how to handle workplace harassment like a boss. First thing is, I don't laugh about inappropriate jokes or comments about my body or how I look. So for example, if a male supervisor tells me, you look sweet today, you look delicious today, your husband must be enjoying you, your boyfriend must be enjoying you, you've put on weight, your backside is looking good, I shut that shit down immediately. I don't laugh because there's nothing fucking funny about that situation. And the thing is that if I lose my job because I called out a supervisor for making inappropriate comments about my body or how I look, I am okay with being fired from that job. And I think that this is something that a lot of young women don't know. But if you get fired from a job because your supervisor was inappropriate with you, you are actually in the right and that supervisor is in the wrong. And you should not be ashamed or feel any kind of way about bringing that up in an interview. Like, you're not going to come into an interview with me and I ask you what happened with your last job and you tell me my boss was inappropriate with me and I left, or I called him out on being inappropriate with me and he fired me, and I'm going to look at you like, oh my God, you are the bad guy. Why didn't you just keep quiet and take it? I'm going to say, well done. Good on you for speaking up about it. And that's probably going to increase your chances of working with me because I want to work with people like that. The second thing is that if my male supervisor or boss has been open about being attracted to me or liking me, there are certain things that I would not do with him and there are certain places I would not go with him. So for example, he can't invite me to have a late night dinner meeting with him alone in a hotel bar or in a quiet or private restaurant. There's no reason for me to go to a meeting like that. Now, some people might say, oh, what if he wants to talk about something important? He can call me or we can have a Zoom call late at night. That one is not an issue because it's happening over a call. But I'm not going to get dressed and go and sit down with a man in a private room somewhere and have dinner with him. Like, what do we really need to discuss? Now, if it's something that concerns the business, no problem. I'm going to request that somebody else from my team be present, or I'm going to tell one of my friends to show up at the dinner place and I will pay for her drinks or her food or whatever, just to ensure that nothing untoward happens. But if my boss insists that where we're going is private and is invite only, for example, I am not going to go, but that's just me. And even with the late night calls, it has to be strictly business. Like, when I was a co-founder and chief brand officer, there were times when we had to pitch to investors in America in their own time. So sometimes I pitched at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. That is completely different. That is connected to the business. But you calling me at 11 p.m. or midnight to just talk, to just gist or ask me like random private questions about myself or my life, that is crossing a boundary. The third thing I would do is, if my boss repeatedly makes passes at me, whether overtly or covertly, I'm going to document it. After every inappropriate comment about my body or how I look or how I dress, I'm going to send an email. Hello, sir. I did not appreciate the way that you spoke to me or the comment that you made about my body and my dress. Please refrain from talking about my body in that manner, especially in the presence of other people. Thank you. If you are scared of coming across as disrespectful, please go to ChatGPT or Gemini. In this case, I have no issues with you using AI. Let ChatGPT or Gemini know that your boss has made these comments about your body and they make you feel uncomfortable and you want to send an email for documentation purposes. Trust me, ChatGPT or Gemini will come up with something perfect for you to use. Personally, I don't trust anyone who works in HR because their focus is actually on protecting the business and senior management. But by the third time, I'm going to copy HR in the email and make it clear that I've sent 2 other emails to this person asking them not to speak about my body in this manner, and they've chosen to continue, and now I'm bringing it up with somebody else in the business. And here's another thing that a lot of women don't know about workplaces. If the person that's harassing you is the CEO or someone who has majority stocks in the business, it's very improbable that he's going to be fired unless he really did something messed up. And even then, the board of directors will just ask him to step down as CEO, especially if he's the owner of the business. But after maybe 6 months or a year, slap on the wrist, he's going to resume that position again. Like, we've seen it happen in the tech industry in Nigeria, right? So the reason why I'm giving these tips is just so that you know that when in comparison to your boss, like where power and influence is concerned, you don't have a lot of power and influence, and it's always going to be a case of your word against his, which is why you need to document and which is why you need to have a trail of records. And finally, if you're not ready to leave that job, if you're financially strapped or you're just building your savings and resigning is not an option, I'm just going to say document everything and start looking for a new job, because as long as that predator has set his sights on you, he's never going to stop. And if you laugh at his jokes or you're feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to call it out, I'm too uncomfortable, I don't want to be seen as being, doing too much or being too dramatic, he's not going to stop. Okay, so if you're not ready to walk away from that job, or it's not the right time for you to walk away from that job, apply for jobs secretly and just ensure that you are never alone with that man. But if you are like me and you will leave any blood-clad environment where a man is moving to you in a funny kind of way, please know that you are allowed to resign, and you can put your reasons for resigning as my male supervisor continues to make inappropriate comments about my body, continues to proposition me, has told me that in order for him to increase my salary, I have to lay with him. Make it clear that the reason you are leaving is because you've been objectified and sexualized at work. Now, nothing may come of it. They may never fire the guy. They may even call you a liar. That's okay. You've documented it, and it's now in their records that the reason you left that job was because of an inappropriate male manager or supervisor or boss. My first job when I moved back to Nigeria, I was teaching at a private school, and somebody in senior management decided that the only way that he was going to increase my salary was if I went to a hotel room with him and slept with him in exchange for more money. I've talked about this before, but my father didn't raise me that way. My father was not a deadbeat. He taught me to never be entitled to money and to never do anything just to get more money, right? So I told this man multiple times that I was not interested in him. I was in my mid-20s when this happened. He was in his mid-50s, and I had a boyfriend too. I wasn't attracted to this man. I wasn't interested in him. I did not want to have sex with him, but that didn't stop him. He continued and continued. And when I knew I was ready to leave the job, in the last conversation I had with him in his office, I recorded the conversation. And when I reported him, they called me a liar, and I was able to produce the voice recording as evidence. And it was because of that voice recording that they believed me and ended up firing the man. If I did not have that evidence, they would have called me a nympho and a seductress who wanted to ruin a man's life. By the way, that man was a pastor at a local redeemed parish in his area. And while he was talking to me about sleeping with me one time, he was printing out flyers for the church service that he was going to be leading that evening. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode. Mwah.